Alright, so for today, I'm gonna do a face rating on Meg the Stallion, and let's see what she gets. Alright, so her overall rating is a 6.2. That is 1 in 8 people. The percentage of people, that's the top 12%. Her side facial score is a 50%. Her front facial harmony score is a 66%. Her total facial harmony score is 60%. Her facial dimorphism, how feminine the face is a 6. Body fat factors is a 5. Miscellaneous features is a 9. And then we have the tier list to the right side. Tier 1, ideal. Tier 2, near ideal. Tier 3, normal. Tier 4, slight flaw. Tier 5, flaw. Tier 6, huge flaw. Tier 7, completely breaks harmony. Her overall facial assessments. So these are the main things that I noticed about her face that are pretty much bringing her rating down. So Megan's front profile has less flaws than the side view profile. The only main flaw that I can note is the mouth to nose width ratio breaks facial harmony. The nose fits within the inner creases of the eye, but the mouth should ideally line up to the iris of the eye, and her mouth does not, which means that the width of the mouth is too small compared to the nose, and this is a flaw. In the side view profile, her facial convexity is on the more rounder side of the spectrum. This single-handedly affected multiple measurements. These are the rarity scores of different celebrities that y'all might know. Y'all can take a look at it. Alright, let's start off with the eye separation ratio. So this goes from the pupils of the eye, the distance between the pupils, relative to the distance between the bizygomatic, so the cheekbone width. Alright, and she got 46.6, which is in the ideal range, so she got perfectly set eyes. Her facial thirds is at tier 4. So the reason why it's a tier 4 is because her upper third is too small and her middle third is too large. So you got to be closer to 33%, and it can't go past 33% by 3%. So no more by 3% from away from 33%. And she got 39 for the mid, and she got 27 for the top third. So that does make this unideal for her. So that will be a slight flaw. Her canthal is perfect at 7 degrees, so this is ideal for a female. Her facial width to height ratio, so how compact is her midface, and is at 1.82, so she does not have a very compact midface, and this is within the normal range. Her jaw frontal angle is ideally perfect at 90 degrees, so she does have a pretty good jaw, not too flat, not too steep. Her cheekbone high settingness, so how high is her cheekbones? Now it is hard to tell where her cheekbones is in this picture, but I saw from other pictures as well that she does have higher cheekbones. Her bigonial width, so how wide is her jaw relative to her cheekbones, and it's a tier 1 and it's at 86%, so she does have a pretty wide jaw compared to her cheekbones, so this is within the ideal range. Total facial height to width ratio, so how long is her face in general? All right, so it goes from the length to the width. All right, and she does have a decent sized head shape at a tier 1, and this is certainly not a flaw at all, and it is at 1.31, and this is perfect. Her chin to philtrum ratio, so how long is her philtrum compared to her chin, and it is a tier 1, which means it's in the ideal at 2, so her philtrum is, or her chin is 2 times the size of her philtrum, which is perfect. The neck width is a tier 1. This is closer to the lower end of the spectrum, but it's still within the ideal, and her neck is not too small for her, pretty much her head shape, I guess you can say, or her jaw. Her mouth to nose width ratio is a 1.2, and this is a tier 6. Her nose is too wide for her mouth, and this is unideal. Like I said before, the mouth is just not wide enough compared to the nose, and this is the reason why that breaks harmony. Her mid-face ratio is a tier 4, is a slight flaw. Her mid face is a bit too compact. She does have a little bit wider set eyes, but her actual mid face is just so the actual mid face is from the eye line down to the top of the upper lip, and that is a bit too small compared to her actual face. Now, women do typically have higher mid face ratios, but hers is a bit too high, so that is a slight flaw. Her eyebrow settiness, so how high set is her eyebrows, and is at 1.88. This is not ideal at all, and I gave that a tier 4. Her eyes is just way too far away from her actual eye, or her eyebrows is way too high from her actual her eyes. So that is a flaw. Her eye spacing, one eye test, so it's supposed to be one eye's width apart, and she does not have that at 81%. And this is a flaw. This is a pretty big flaw right there. And this tells me that, she has eyes that are a bit too close. Her eye aspect ratio is perfect. It is a tier 1 at 3.1. And this means that she does have perfectly almond shaped eyes for a female. Her lower lip to upper lip ratio is a tier 2. So her upper lip is supposed to be 1.5 times smaller than the lower lip. So pretty much the upper lip is supposed to be smaller than the lower lip, but her upper lip is not small enough. So that will be a slight flaw. But this is not, a big measurement, so this wouldn't really matter too much. Her deviation from the mid face to the jaw angle is at a 3% deviation, so it only deviates by 3%. For anybody, it should never deviate past 15%, or it completely just breaks the harmony. And for her, it does not break harmony at all, since it's at 3-degree deviation, so this is perfect. Her eyebrow tilt, so how tilted is your eyebrows, at 19 degrees, so this is a tier 1. Her bitemporal width, so how wide is the temple region compared to the cheekbone region, and it's at 88%, and this is ideal. Her lower third proportions is a 36, my fault, a 36, so it's pretty close to 33%, so it should not deviate past 3% away from 33%, which it doesn't at the higher end of it. It's bilateral aliar angle, so this is the angle created by the midface, so it goes from the subnasal all the way to the edges of the eyes, and it is at 93 degrees, and this is ideal. Her gonial angle, now she does have her mouth open, so I did kind of reduce it. That's why I got this picture like this, but it is at 124 degrees. This is still within the ideal range for a female anyway, and this is perfect gonial angle. Her nasal frontal angle is 131 degrees, and this is perfect as well. So that's a tier 1. Her mandibular plane angle is also perfect at 22 degrees, so it's at the upper echelon, but this is 100% perfect. Her ramus to mandible ratio is a tier 1 at 51 degrees, or 51%, I mean, so her ramus is 51% of the mandible, and this is completely perfect. Her facial convexity from the glabella is 152 degrees, and this is at the complete lowest end of possibilities, I guess you could say. And this is a huge flaw. This is where, just by this one flaw right here from her facial convexity, this tells me that there's going to be other multiple measurements that has to do with the facial convexity, and all of them are probably going to be off. So let's see. Her submental cervical angle is a tier 2, and that is a slight deviation away from the ideal at 108 degrees, and this measures how this measures the hyoid area, so the fat underneath the chin or the fat underneath the jaw, and she does not have much at all, so this is not really a flaw by any means. Her nasofacial angle is a tier 2, so that is close to the ideal at 37 degrees. So this is slightly outside of the ideal range, so it's not a flaw. Her nasolabial angle is a tier 5, and this is at 79 degrees, and this is a huge flaw. This determines how downswung the nose is, and her nose is pretty downswung relative to her face. Her orbital vector is slightly positive, that is a tier 2. Her orbital rims are slightly past the actual eye, And yeah, so this is not a flaw at all. Her total facial convexity, so this is including the nose as well, or the tip of the nose, is going from the tip of the nose to the glabella and also to the chin, and is a tier 4 at 133 degrees. And this is more on the smaller side, I guess, or the lower end, but it's still not too bad, but it is a slight flaw. Her mental labial angle, so this is the angle created from the bottom of the lip down to the chin and is at 92 degrees, and this is at the normal range. Her facial convexity from the nasion is 147. So, like I said again, this will be a slight flaw, but this is still not within the ideal range at all. So, this is gonna take some points off. Her nasal protrusion is also a tier 4 at 0.33, and this is not really ideal. She doesn't really have that much nasal protrusion for a female. Her nasal width to height projections, so how long is the nose relative to the width of the nose, and it is at 90%. So which means that the width of the nose is 90% of the length, and this is near to ideal, but it's not really ideal, but it's near it. Her E line, so all of her lip measurements are actually a flaw because her bottom lip is way too protrusive compared to the upper lip. So E line, H line, not ideal. S line, not ideal. The lower lip is just lower lip shouldn't even pass the upper lip at all. So all of her lip measurements are all off. So yeah, she did lose all the points for the lip measurement. Her nasal mental angle, so this is the angle created from the nasal bridge down to the chin, and this is also including the facial convexity as well at 116 degrees. So this is a slight flaw, and yeah. So obviously, I knew this measurement wasn't going to be good because it's also including the facial convexity as well. Her gonian to mouth relationship. So your gonian has to be past the mouth line, which for her gonian is past the mouth line. So this is ideal. Her recession relative to the Frankfurt plane angle, and the chin is way past the glabella, and that means that she has a very protrusive chin. What this tells me that is that her maxilla is probably too protrusive relative to everything else. So if her maxilla was probably brought down a little bit, her facial convexity would have been perfect. But since her maxilla, so the maxilla is the upper jaw, by the way, and if her maxilla probably was a little bit lower, I guess you could say, instead of all the way projected, her facial convexity would have been perfect. Her brow ridge inclination is a 20 degrees, and this is near the ideal range, so this is perfect. And last but not least, the nasal tip is 120, so this is not really a flaw at all, and this is near the ideal range, so this is perfect as well. And that's pretty much it. If you want me to do a facial convexity for you, make sure to email me. I'm gonna put my email down in the description. And yeah, I'm out.